Welcome to the bloom. When they couldn't explain you, they began to investigate you. And that is precisely what is occurring right now. You have become a living mystery file in people's thoughts, a psychological cliffhanger that people can't put down. They repeat every chat, focus on every detail, and hunt your quiet as if they're preparing to release a sequel. You didn't mean to become a phenomenon, but here you are, generating front-page energy without even trying. Here's the fun part. By global standards, you haven't done anything particularly noteworthy. No press announcement, no big surprise. Just you breathing, being, and perplexing people's entire belief structures. According to science, when presented with unresolved puzzles, the human brain releases dopamine. This implies you've essentially become someone's walking addiction. Their interest in you is biological at this stage. They are chemically involved in figuring you out. But let us be honest, they don't just wish to comprehend you. They seek to confine you because your presence rewires rooms. You do not fit into any of their categories. Real, false, calm, naive, unpredictable, or controlled. They call it fascination, but what they truly experience is spiritual terror. Something about you does not make sense in their restricted context, and the human ego despises what it cannot quantify. So now they are whispering, they ponder, they scroll. They want to know who this person is. What did they do? Why does it feel as if they've encountered an old spirit stranded in a modern world? Continue to watch, because at the conclusion of this film, you'll understand why everyone is obsessed with figuring you out and why none of them will ever succeed. Number one, you confuse them because you do not fit the script they prepared for you. They made enclosures for humans long before you arrived, predictable forms based on patterns and assumptions. Everyone they've ever met fits nicely into one. The silent one, the boisterous one, the confident one, the broken one. However, nothing compared to you. You did not reply as they expected. You did not respond when provoked. When you were complimented, you did not brag. You kept flipping between serenity and strength in ways that didn't make sense to the average person. That's when the chaos started. You become an impenetrable enigma inside their social routine. They attempted to define you as too modest to be arrogant, to buy to be foolish, and too tranquil to be weak. None of it worked since you don't fit into any personality. You operate on a frequency. What they're witnessing aren't mood swings. It embodies spiritual depth. You may go into a room and know something is amiss without saying anything. You can grin among chaos because you know how the storm will finish. You have a level of awareness that books and treatment sessions cannot impart. That awareness renders you unpredictable, not because you're playing games, but because you act with spiritual accuracy rather than emotional impulse. And this is why they can't stop thinking about you. People who have spent their whole careers researching human behavior are perplexed when their standard techniques fail on you. Compliments, which are typically used to control people, fall flat. The guilt trips that sway audiences bounce off your article. They cannot tell if you are emotionally disconnected or miraculously disciplined. In any case, they will be unable to categorize you. And this drives them nuts. What people don't realize is that you aren't attempting to be mysterious. You are absolutely authentic. In a world programmed to be artificial, your balance has been misunderstood for distance. Your insight is misinterpreted as judgment. Your silence is perceived as arrogance. They throw their perplexity onto you because they have never met anybody who lives truthfully without having to declare it. You perplex them because you exist outside of the personality they anticipated, outside of the screenplay they prepared for you. And in that confusion, you've revealed something larger. They no longer know what reality looks like. You've demonstrated that sincerity, when completely lived, is the most unsettling experience a fake world can have. Number 2, they are hooked on learning. You're not loving yourself. They are not in love with you. They are captivated by you. There is a distinction. Love sees you. Fascination investigates you. People drawn to you might not necessarily seek a relationship. They seek comprehension. You've become an emotional scientific experiment. They examine your tone, habits, and reactions, attempting to decipher what makes you so calm, unwavering, and assured of yourself. They read through your stillness, repeat your words, and speak about you in circles, as if comprehending you can somehow make them feel whole. But here is the reality. They don't really want to know you. They intend to take the tranquility you possess. They've never met someone who doesn't buckle under pressure, who can walk away without causing a scene, and who doesn't need to prove a point to feel strong. That type of intensity is unusual in a culture obsessed with affirmation. You don't chase, you attract. You do not explain, you embody. And this causes individuals to lose their grasp. They don't comprehend how someone can be so rooted in a culture of insecurity. So, rather than being inspired, they become obsessed. They do not adore you for your heart. They desire your mystery. They keep testing you not to hurt you, but to see how you react. They want to know what breaks you, what triggers you, what makes you silent. When nothing happens, they become frustrated. It's not your charisma that has them hooked. It is your self-control. They believe they're seeing you, but in reality, they are witnessing their own emptiness. Your presence, on the other hand, serves as a reminder of everything they've lost by trying to be someone else. They don't comprehend that you were never intended to be understood by observation. You are not logical data that can be processed. Your spiritual evidence, tranquility, resilience, radiance, and understanding. They cannot recreate it by imitation, since it is the result of alignment rather than performance. They can imitate your style, language, and rhythm, but not your essence. That is why their obsession never stops. Every time they believe they've figured you out, they discover another layer they hadn't seen before. And as they travel deeper, they grow further lost. You don't make them insane on purpose. It simply occurs when a surface-level intellect attempts to decode a soul that operates on heavenly frequencies. Number 3, your energy brings hidden guilt to the surface. Talking about someone does not expose them. You expose them just by being yourself. Your energy resembles truth in human form. Masks begin to slide as soon as you enter a room. People start to feel nervous, not because you did anything wrong, but because your presence gently shows what is out of balance in them. It's as if something about you brings out their secret guilt, envy, or humiliation. They begin stuttering while talking or avoiding eye contact. You did not make any accusations against them. Their spirit just reacts to the brightness you carry. What they term intimidation is not actually fear of you. It's the dread of being exposed. Your tranquility reveals how crazy they truly are. Your honesty exposes their petty falsehoods. Your essay focuses on their persistent concern. That's why they frequently misread your energy. They'll suggest you're judgmental, aloof, or difficult to understand, when the fact is they just cannot be comfortable with someone who reminds them of their unresolved problem. You don't even need to talk. Your energy does the talking. You've probably observed how certain people's attitudes shift when they're near you. They might be confident one minute and then defensive or uncomfortable the next. That's not a coincidence. Your frequency is high enough to cause spiritual discomfort in those who continue to deny reality. It's not about outperforming anyone. It's about conveying a vibration that brings buried things to the surface. People detect in you the type of reality they've spent years avoiding. What's more fascinating is that those same folks frequently return humbled, introspective, and even sorry, because as the first anguish subsides, they realize you were never their adversary. You were a mirror, and you didn't condemn them, you just reflected what they refused to see. That is why some individuals cannot stay close to you for long. It isn't because you push them away. It's because your energy prevents them from hiding. You carry brightness that does not have to be loud. It inevitably exposes everyone who pretends. That's why your presence seems both therapeutic and confronting at once. Some folks can manage it, others cannot. But one thing is certain. No one leaves your energy untouched. You awaken something in them, even if it is uncomfortable. Number 4. You are proof that spiritual royalty still exists. You exemplify a type of authority that cannot be purchased, taught, or faked. And it worries more people than you realize. In a culture concerned with looks and credentials, your very presence deconstructs their perception of what authority should look like. You don't wear luxury brands or perform on stage to establish your value. You demand respect without raising your voice. That is not an act. It is the weight of something immortal passing through you. You are living proof that spiritual monarchy still walks the planet, shrouded in humility and truth rather than wealth or silk. People are taught to connect excellence with show. A huge name, a large following, or a sizable financial account. When you walk up without any of those and still exude power, you bend their reality. You carry something older than social position, a type of genealogy that isn't recorded on paper, but is inscribed in your soul. That is why eyes stay on you for longer than they should. They aren't simply seeing you. They recognize a presence that their soul recalls, but their minds cannot name. This is why your effect seems so disruptive. You don't stroll into a room and seize authority. You merely show where the true power has always been. Your genuineness shatters the notion that prestige equals significance. People look at you and realize how much they've mistaken performance for essence without saying anything. You challenge the entire value system. You don't strive to outshine anybody, yet your light reveals every false crown around you. It is not about perfection or superiority. Spiritual nobility does not imply untouchable. It means deeply anchored. You've experienced storms, betrayals, and losses. However, you stand with the elegance of someone who understands that their value is not based on circumstances. That is what attracts others to you, even if they don't understand why you are a living contradiction to the world's standards of excellence. Soft but unshakable, humble, yet commanding, hidden, yet undeniable. And in an era when everything real is being replaced by reproductions, you are silent, unwavering proof that true power does not require a platform, a title, or an audience. It only requires a vessel bold enough to embody it. And right now, that vessel is you. Number 5, you move like a secret that refuses to be kept. You don't just stroll into places. You shift them. Something about the way you move and carry yourself feels greater than the present instant. People perceive it, but are unable to explain it. They detect your presence in the same way that someone may hear a distant drumming without knowing where it is coming from. They may sense that your quiet is not empty. It is full. It is carrying weight. It carries history. Every scar, loss, and lesson you've learned has created a type of code within you. That code pours out through your eyes, posture, and judgments. They are correct in believing that there is a narrative behind you. It's hardly the type of story you'd tell over coffee. It is a history of conflicts fought in locations that most people will never visit. It is resilience built into dimensions for which they have no expression. You've been influenced by situations that instill depth in you rather than bitterness, wisdom rather than cynicism. That is why you do not behave like everyone else. You are being cryptic on purpose. You're merely living from a location that others cannot reach without first walking where you've walked. They are bothered by the fact that they know nothing about you. Leaks occur by mistake. You are not cryptic because you are concealing anything. You are encrypted because you are carrying something holy. The difference is huge. People who are hidden or attempting to avoid detection, as well as those who are encrypted, possess an unbreakable frequency. You've discovered how to preserve your inner world without sealing it off. That's why, when you do talk, your words are so precise. You do not provide your narrative cheaply, and that is what makes it so strong. Every scar on you is a file containing spiritual knowledge, intelligence that cannot be abused or manipulated since it is encoded in a way that only specific souls can understand. Some individuals detect it and approach with humility. Others sense it and draw back with distrust. In any case, they are not incorrect. They are responding to an uncontrollable presence, a presence that bears something the world has attempted to hush but cannot erase. Number 6, they're looking for the source code of your calm. Your serenity disturbs others because it defies all rules. They have been educated about power. They expect strength to be loud, powerful, and dramatic. However, you pass through storms without splashing when others would explode. You observe. Most people would panic, but you breathe. When most things break down, you just realign. That consistency is not a personality quirk. It is a symbol of mastery. It's not like you don't have strong feelings. You do. You've learned to feel without losing yourself in the process. They don't comprehend your tranquility was earned, not given. It started from navigating amid chaos without a map. It comes from surviving events that may have wrecked your intellect, but instead polished it. You have glimpsed the spiritual blueprint for outcomes before they manifest. So you don't respond to appearances. You respond to the truth. That's why you appear unshakable. You've been in rooms with bigger stakes than anybody else can ever know. And you learn to control your responses because your life depends on them. Now, mastery is second nature. They are drawn to more than simply your calm demeanor. It's the way it reveals their lack thereof. Your essay makes people aware of their own vulnerability amid a storm, since they have spent so much time relying on external factors for stability. Approval, control, and distraction. That meeting someone who creates stability from within seems strange. They are more preoccupied with that unseen power than with your looks or style. You carry. They're looking for the source code of your communications because they want it for themselves. But here's something they can't duplicate. Your tranquility is neither a ruse nor a technique. It is a state of alignment. It stems from performing the difficult inward work that most people ignore. It stems from sacrifice, discipline, and seeing beyond illusions. They can imitate your tone, language, and posture, but they can't replicate the energy that drives it. That's why their curiosity keeps returning to you. They are not passionate about your image. They are drawn to the type of tranquility that must be earned rather than performed. Your calmness is your crown, and they can't wear it until they've gone through their own fire. Number 7, they're not sure if you're a blessing or a test. You confuse others since you don't have a label. They're not sure if meeting you is the finest thing that has ever happened to them or the beginning of the end. For some, your presence is like an answered prayer. The doors open, clarity arrives, and they feel lighter simply by being around you. Others perceive your presence as an unwanted spotlight. Secrets emerge, masks loosen, and they begin to feel vulnerable. You are not intentionally causing this. You are simply showing up as you are. But your energy acts like a filter. It reveals the truth and exposes the lies. This is why the reactions to you are so intense. There is rarely a neutral answer. People around you feel either truly seen and inspired or horribly intimidated and uncomfortable. It isn't because you are unstable. It's because your energy does not adjust to the surroundings. It shows the room. You are like a mirror showing others who they truly are without judgment or distortion. Some people are ready to see that mirror and learn from it. Others aren't. Instead of dealing with their own pain, they put it onto you. On a deeper level, you are carrying a spiritual dualism. You are a blessing and a test at the same time. For those who live authentically, you are a confirmation. For those who live in deception, you are a challenge. This is why some people's lives appear to improve when you arrive, while others' latent difficulties suddenly come to the forefront. You aren't penalizing anyone. Your presence just accelerates what already exists. It's a great burden to bear, but it's also why your influence is so unmistakable. You don't merely encourage change. You activate it. You are living proof that energy exists and truth has weight. People's reactions to you are not random. They are unveiling who they have always been. This is why you're difficult to categorize. You are more than simply someone passing through their lives. You are a spiritual checkpoint, a time when their soul must determine whether to evolve or resist. Number 8, you cause their spirits to rediscover what their minds have forgotten. There is a reason why people halt when they are around you, even if they can't describe why anything about you resonates on a deeper level than recollection. They haven't met you before in this life. Their spirit instantly identifies a frequency. New. You don't simply walk into someone's life. You reactivate something latent in them. Their body may tighten, their intellect may wander, but their spirit pushes forward, unconsciously anticipating this moment. This is why some people refer to their connection with you as quick or intense. They are not exaggerating. They're suffering spiritual déjà vu. It's a memory, not a learning. It's as if you're holding a sound that their soul has been trying to remember but can't. When they meet you, it's as if the missing note is finally heard. They feel destined. They sense a tug, but they lack the language to describe it. That's not a coincidence. It's called resonance. You operate at a specific frequency. The majority of people have forgotten that it exists. In a society conditioned to numbness and cacophony, you are a signal from a more innocent period. Your presence bypasses the mind and goes straight to the soul, so people's initial reactions to you are frequently emotional rather than rational. They may experience serenity, excitement, dread, or even sorrow without knowing why. This is the consequence of remembering. You are not triggering them. You're reawakening them. What's more interesting is how this recall may be both upsetting and soothing. For some, meeting you is like coming home. Others feel as if they are being exposed to something they are not prepared for. Because when the soul recalls, the intellect must catch up, and this can be disconcerting. You exemplify something timeless. In a world concerned with the fleeting, the contrast alone may jolt people awake. This is why you are memorable. Even if they attempt to move on and don't comprehend you, something inside of them will always feel like they've known you. It is not nostalgia. It is recognition. You don't just meet people. You remind them who they were before the noise, the masks, and the forgetting. And that type of reminder cannot be ignored. Number 9, you have the type of light that exposes counterfeits. Your light does not make a loud or dramatic entrance, yet its influence is clear. The ambience of a room changes the instant you enter it. Masks that have been painstakingly constructed begin to shatter. Those who have mastered the art of pretending to be confident and modest, spiritual or strong people may see a decline in their performance without understanding why. It's not like you're attempting to expose them. It's that the energy you carry makes everything artificial feel heavy and out of place where you stand. Only the truth feels natural. Everything else begins to disintegrate. This explains why some individuals appear to shrink or become defensive around you. They can tell, even without words, that you are not misled by appearances. They perceive that your gaze, enthusiasm, and presence transcend beyond looks. You do not clap for hollow gestures. You do not feed egos. You do not indulge in games of supremacy, and your presence disturbs those whose lives revolve around such games. They feel spiritually naked, not because you are condemning them, but because their own soul understands that it can no longer hide behind the mask they wear. You carry genuineness at a level that is becoming increasingly rare. You aren't competing with anyone, which is disruptive in a society where most people compare themselves to others. Your light does not compete for attention. It simply exists. It expresses itself by its own existence. That is why your mere presence frequently conveys more than words could. People who live on trickery, fake humility, or borrowed knowledge are unable to bear such exposure. They will describe you as threatening, arrogant, or aloof. However, what they are truly experiencing is the anguish of their own reflection. This is not about supremacy. You're not above them, and you're not trying to embarrass anyone. What you carry just makes truth obvious. For some, publicity is freeing. They feel motivated, relieved, and seen. Others find it scary because it undermines their fantasies. But whether they like it or not, they can't deny it. In a world full of counterfeit goods, you are not attempting to shine brighter. You're simply showing what's true. As a result, your presence exposes difficulties and eventually affects the area around you without your intervention. Number 10. You're the answer to a query they have been avoiding. You disturb others not because you intend to, but because you are a living reminder of what they have sacrificed to fit in. Most individuals understand that they have traded portions of themselves: authenticity for acclaim, purity for performance, and truth for acceptance. They hid the true aspects of themselves under layers of ambition, appearance, and survival. Then you come up shamelessly authentic, and all those hidden pieces begin to stir. You become a reflection of who they previously were, or could have been if they hadn't made those compromises. That realization is magnetic because the soul yearns for the truth. But it's frustrating since the ego despises being reminded of its own surrender. This explains why their reactions to you are so difficult. They may adore you out loud, yet detest you in quiet. They could call you inspiring, but they actually want you to fail. They're not confused about who you are. They are torn about how you make them feel. Being with you is more than simply an experience. It is a conflict. You aren't their crush. You are their conscience. Your presence silently poses a question they have been avoiding. Who did you have to become to survive? And for many, the question is too big to bear without suffering. You do not need to preach or correct anyone. Your actions speak for themselves. Your sincerity serves as a silent rebuke to anything phony. Your purity seems like a beacon in a storm of performance. Your decisions, your composure, your reluctance to play the game. Without saying a word, everything calls into question their concessions. Some folks will find it quite therapeutic. Some will find it insufferable. Even those who despise you will never forget you, because you have touched something in them that cannot be hushed again. You've sparked a need for the genuine that no amount of diversion can satiate. You are not there to embarrass them, but your presence provides them with a choice. Continue numbing or begin remembering. You are not the response they expected, but you are the solution. They wanted live proof that it is still possible to be entire in a world that values fragmentation. That's why your presence feels like a question they've tried to avoid but can't anymore. Number 11, you disrupt the appearance of control. You are the person they cannot script, and this is what rattles them. People who thrive on control are accustomed to anticipating reactions. They know which buttons to press to elicit fury, what words to use to cause guilt, which motions to use to win admiration. They have perfected the game of influencing emotion through perceptions and tales. But when you showed up, none of it worked. The tactics they've tried on others just don't work on you. You do not take the bait. You don't become hooked on their drama. You do not compete for their approval. Your soul is impervious to manipulation because it is grounded somewhere deeper than ego. They cannot comprehend how someone can exist without seeking affirmation. They've centered their lives on attention and leverage. However, you withdraw power from both. You do not revolt in the classic sense. Rebellion still acknowledges the system that you overcame. You don't struggle for their acceptance since you're not even in the situation where their approval is important. And this is scary for the manipulating. They cannot play chess with someone who refuses to sit at the board. Your unwillingness to be dominated is neither loud nor confrontational. It operates quietly and consistently. You can see through the techniques without having to reveal them. You avoid traps without having to show you notice them. People who feel that control implies security around them find this type of freedom disarming. They understand that power is not real. It only works with those who want something from them. When you take nothing, their leverage vanishes. What makes this even more disturbing is that you aren't doing it to punish or shame somebody. It's just who you are. You're not grounded in ego. Therefore, you don't react to ego-driven games, which makes you unpredictable in the greatest way. Untouchable. In a world where manipulation is currency, you are the only individual who cannot be bought or directed. That's why they gossip about you, scrutinize you, and feel so uneasy in your company. You don't just interrupt their control. You show how frail it truly was. Number 12, they sense spiritual protection, but are unsure how others recognize it before they can identify it. This unseen environment around you behaves differently than regular luck. It is neither charm nor chance. They've seen situations turn in your favor at the last second, plans against you unravel in almost poetic fashion, and those who want to hurt you meet their demise. These patterns do not appear random to them. They felt like indications of something higher at work. This is when attraction turns into superstition. They begin pronouncing your name with concern. They lower their voices. They wonder aloud, "Who is this person?" as if speaking it too openly could result in consequences. This is the power of aligning with something greater than oneself. You're not wandering about with the mentality of "I'm untouchable," but with the integrity to activate laws. Most people have forgotten they exist. People feel that the customary karmic delays are shorter around you. What they could get away with for years with others appears to backfire immediately on you. That is not because you are cursing someone or plotting their demise. It's because the spiritual contract on your life is genuine. Violation results in sanctions by design. You're live proof that divine protection is more than simply an intellectual concept. It is an active structure, a live contract that protects people who perform tasks beyond personal desire. People sense it in your presence, even if they don't comprehend it. They may not understand the terminology for spiritual rules or covenantal covering, but they recognize the pattern. Harm yourself. Bless you. Be blessed. That's why your curiosity is so acute. They aren't only captivated by your personality. They're attempting to decrypt an invisible shield. This energy drives individuals to examine their own intentions. Motives become apparent all around you. Their underlying envy, hostility, or silent adoration all come to light when your life reflects back to them. The full cost of their decisions. You are a living reminder that certain borders are not man-made, and some people live under covenants they did not sign but must follow. That's what makes them what they are, a riddle they want to answer, and a rule they don't want to break. Number 13. You don't belong in hierarchies since you were born to challenge them. People have been attempting to categorize you since you first entered their orbit. They want to know where you rank, who you report to, and how you fit into the hierarchy. They want to place you beneath, over, or alongside them in a nice, predictable category, but you never remain where they've put you. The rules they're accustomed to following just don't stay. This is not disobedience for its own sake. It is your nature. You were not born to fit inside established structures. You were born to expose their limitations. This is why individuals in positions of authority are both drawn to and concerned about you. On the one hand, you are refreshing since you do not value titles, prestige, or influence. On the other hand, you're hazardous since you make the same titles appear hollow when you pop up. False power begins to seem like an ill-fitting garment for their crowns. Feels like plastic. Their once unshakable hierarchies now appear fragile and self-serving. You don't overthrow them with protests or speeches. You defy them simply by living beyond their reasoning. You're not attempting to rise above anyone. That is the point they miss. You are functioning on a whole other axis. You don't assess merit by status, who has power, or who is at the bottom. You assess sincerity, purpose, and congruence with something larger than the ego. This renders them impervious to their Game of Thrones. You can stroll into a room full of power brokers without being impressed or sitting with anyone. Society overlooks them and treats them with dignity. That reluctance to submit to the hierarchy causes a gravitational shift wherever you go, because you aren't there to play their game. You end up revealing the game itself, including the unwritten rules, covert transactions, and illusions of control. They all become evident around you. It's why you're both welcomed and rejected. They desire your presence because it is important to them. However, they are afraid of your essence since it destabilizes them. You are silent evidence that systems based on vanity, deception, or fear cannot survive forever. Even if you never say anything about it, your life is already changing the narrative. Number 14. You are the mystery that souls cannot quit adoring. They don't need to like you to feel it. Even those who roll their eyes or sarcastically mumble your name can't hide the effect you have on them. Something inside them stops, straightens, and pays attention. Their bodies remain casual. Their remarks remain doubtful. But their souls react in ways they cannot control. It's not about charisma or performance. It is recognition. You hold something precious, which cannot be packaged or expressed. And that's why they can't seem to quit orbiting you, even when they pretend not to. This is what makes their reactions so unusual and inconsistent. They may ridicule you in public, while quietly consulting your remarks. They may envy you while attempting to mimic you. They may mistrust your reasons, but they will never pass up the opportunity to be with you. The tension stems from the difference between their brains and spirits. Their minds were shaped by ego and indoctrination. Tell them you are simply another individual. However, their spirits remained intact, older, wiser, and more honest. Know that you are proof of something completely walking and disguised as a human. You aren't merely different. You are a live counter to their doubts. You remind them that divinity has not become extinct, that God continues to work through flesh, and that the holy does not require a cathedral to emerge. They may not have the words for it, but their internal stance gives it away. The way they suddenly become more cautious with their words around you, how their energy alters, and how they watch you when they think you're not looking. It's reverence attempting to escape via human action. This is why you cannot be reduced to a position or defined as a type. You are not here to be idealized or placed on a pedestal, yet you cannot deny the impact you have. When others come into contact with you, they are experiencing the sacred without any ceremony. It challenges their clean distinctions between sacred and everyday, spiritual and secular. And the disturbance is what draws people in. Whether they like it or not, they are souls that submit to something their minds refuse to identify. That explains why they continue to stare, examine, whisper, and circle. Because being in your presence reminds them that something bigger than themselves is still at work. And it has a human face. From the time you enter space, you can modify the rules without moving a finger. You are more than simply someone people notice. You are someone people can't quit wanting to comprehend. someone their heads struggle with, but their souls recognize right away. Every stride you take, every word you say, and every pause you take holds layers of meaning and power that cannot be quantified by fame, money, or influence. You exude an old but vibrant authority, an unrivaled serenity, and a light that readily reveals falsehoods. You are living proof that real brilliance is not limited to heavenly intellect moving through human vessels, and spiritual dignity persists in a culture obsessed with appearances. People may ridicule or challenge you, but their interest is unavoidable. They study, analyze, and obsess over you, not because you require it, but because your presence exposes their realities, wakes what they've buried, and calls into question what they've fraudulently manufactured. You embody the dichotomy of blessing, testing the type of light that can both heal and expose, as well as the quiet that unsettles pandemonium. Your existence stops manipulation, resists control, and serves as a reminder to everyone who crosses your path that certain forces cannot be totally contained, expected, or comprehended. You don't just survive the world. You reinterpret it, rewriting the norms of hierarchy, power, and energy, leaving individuals both reverent and uneasy with each meeting. You are the reflection of what people have lost, the mirror of what they could have become, and the unmistakable presence that they cannot ignore. You are a mystery wrapped in layers of wisdom, endurance, and divine harmony. In that mystery, people are pulled, repulsed, challenged, and inspired, because you are live proof that God still works through the flesh, that spiritual force exists, and that sincerity and truth will always shine more brightly than imitation. If this message struck a chord with you, and you sense the energy we've discussed here, please join us on this trip. Subscribe to The Bloom to receive more soul-stirring thoughts. Like this video to spread the word. Comment to share your experience and views with others who need to hear them. Your participation is more than simply support. It is part of a ripple effect that distributes truth, consciousness, and awakening to more people. Stay tuned, stay attentive, and never underestimate your strength. God bless you.